I've lived long enough to understand that life doesn't warn you before it changes you. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It doesn't announce, "Hey, pay attention. This moment matters." No, life just shifts, quietly, subtly, and sometimes painfully. For me, it began on a rainy Thursday evening, a night I was never supposed to be out, at a cafe I didn't even like, sitting at a table I only chose because every other seat was taken. Funny how fate doesn't always arrive as thunder. Sometimes it walks in quietly, dripping rainwater, brushing wet hair from her face, mumbling an apology as she bumps into your table. That was the first time I saw her. She looked like someone who didn't belong to the chaos of the world, someone who carried her own kind of silence, her own gravity. She apologized for nearly spilling my coffee, then laughed, soft and embarrassed. I thought she'd move on. Just another stranger in the currents of the evening. But she didn't. She asked if she could sit with me. And I said yes. One of those small, stupid yeses that rewrite your entire life. Her name was Lena, and she'd come to the city chasing something she couldn't explain. She said she was good at running, from places, from mistakes, from people who expected too much of her. She didn't say it proudly. It sounded more like a confession, a half-whispered truth she didn't mean to spill in front of someone she'd met 30 seconds earlier. But that was the thing about her. Lena didn't speak to you. She spoke from the core of who she was. No filters, no masks. She was trouble for people like me. People who needed structure. People who lived carefully. She was the opposite of careful. We talked for hours. The cafe closed around us. The rain stopped. The world fell away. And by the time we stepped outside, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Lightness. Like someone had taken the weight off my chest. She didn't want the night to end, and neither did I, so we walked. Blocks became miles, minutes became hours, and somehow, impossibly, everything about her felt familiar. I remember glancing at her when she wasn't looking. She walked like she was escaping something, but smiling like she hoped whatever she was running from wouldn't catch up tonight. At 2:47 a.m., she asked, "Do you ever feel like you're living the wrong life?" My answer was yes, too quickly. Too honestly. She didn't judge me for it. She simply nodded, as if she understood in ways she couldn't say. When we reached her apartment building, she hesitated, stared at the door as though it held a future she wasn't ready for. Then she turned to me. "I don't want to go inside yet," she whispered. So we didn't. We sat on the steps, talking, laughing, breathing the same tired city air. She told me she wanted to be a writer but was scared she had nothing worth saying. She told me she'd loved someone once who made her feel small. She told me she didn't believe in soulmates but believed in moments, small ones that saved people from themselves. Then she looked at me like I was one of those moments. And that was the night she almost stayed. Almost. Because the world has a cruel habit of interrupting the moments we need the most. At 5:13 a.m., someone called her. She stared at the screen too long. Then her face changed, not fear, but resignation. She whispered, "I have to go. I wasn't supposed to be out tonight." I didn't ask who it was. I didn't want to know. She stood, hesitated, then brushed her hand against mine, just enough to leave a spark burning under my skin. "I'll see you around," she said. Not a promise, not a lie, something in between. She went inside. The door closed, and for the first time in years, I didn't want to be alone anymore. But she didn't see me around. Not for days, not for weeks, not for months. I tried going back to the cafe. Same table, same seat, Same time. But fate doesn't like to repeat itself so easily. Then one night, out of nowhere, she texted me. "Are you awake?" I was. I replied instantly, but there was no follow-up message. The next morning, I found out why. Her landlord said she'd moved out suddenly. No forwarding address. No explanation. Just gone. A disappearing act as perfect as the night we'd met. I tried to forget her. I tried to move on. I failed. Months later, when winter painted the city in silence, I saw her again, at a train station. She looked thinner, tired, but still her, always her. When she saw me, she froze. Not shocked, guilty. "Hey," she said softly. Her train was arriving. She didn't have time to stay. I didn't have time to ask the million questions burning in my chest. So instead, she reached into her coat, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and pressed it into my hand. "Read this later," she whispered. Then she stepped onto the train. And I watched her go, again. When I unfolded the paper, my breath caught. It said, "You were the first place I ever wanted to stay." But I wasn't ready. I'm trying to be. If life is kind, you'll still be here. There was a number at the bottom. I tried calling. It rang once, then stopped. I didn't know if she'd ever answer. Didn't know if she'd ever come back. All I knew was this. Some people don't enter your life to stay. Some people enter to change you, to break open the part of you that stopped believing in something more. Lena was all of that for me. The night she almost stayed was the night I learned what it felt like to want something impossible. And yet, every morning since, I've checked my phone. Every night, I sleep with the ringer on. And sometimes, when the city feels too quiet, I still go back to that train station. Just in case life decides, for once, to be kind.